here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, everyone. This is Lucas Timmel. Is that how you say your name?
Not even close. It's Tetrault.
Tetrault. Okay, you're Lucas Tetrault, and you are a creative director.
Yep.
And I kind of want to know what your experiences are getting into design.
Like 20 years ago getting into design or um like how where would you like me to begin?
I'd like you to talk about the whole journey that you've had getting into design. It can be like you broke off with something else, and then today I'm a designer. Just the whole
Um
nine yards.
yeah. I would say uh that if I'm going to talk about my journey into design, it was really kind of a childhood thing. I more or less could always draw. I loved painting, and any art class I could take as a kid growing up, going all the way through high school, I was all about it. But then it came time um, to leave, grade school and go off to college. And when that time came, it was kind of like, well, what do I do? I'm an artist. I don't know. I've never really had a job in mind outside of like, when you're a kid, you I might have wanted to be a detective or something like that. Um, but no, it was one of those things where I had heard about graphic design, and I applied to a bunch of different places, Savannah Art College, Chicago Art Institute, stuff like that. And then, funny enough, I applied to Purdue University and I got into there and decided to do computer graphics technology, is what they called it at the time. And I minored in art and design since I was already kind of an artist, and kind of evolved and grew into the graphic design um, at that time of what it was, learned the ropes of, you know, Adobe didn't exist at that time. I was using what was called Macromedia, uh, freehand, which then became Illustrator and stuff like that. But I learned quickly that I had what I felt like was an edge on a lot of the other students in the other classes because I had an artistic background. I already had like a handle on aesthetics. I already had an idea of, what composition worked and what didn't. Color was already kind of an easy thing. So when it came time to like start laying out, the simple things like a business card or making a logo or designing a flyer or something like that, all that stuff came pretty easy because I was already doing it in a roundabout way as being an artist. So it just made sense as I progressed through school, through university, that okay, I can do this. I can find a career doing this. But then the web blew up. That was the dot-com boom because I'm old. I'm 42 years old, and dot-com just blew up while I was in college. So it quickly had to kind of not pivot because I didn't change what I was doing. I just added stuff onto my plate. So I studied a lot of web design. I studied crap like PHP and JavaScript and everything else that I at the time didn't know anything about. Um, and that's really the story. I mean, I graduated with a degree in that and uh, quickly got my first job as a lonely Flash developer for an agency here in my hometown and kind of grew my career from there. Flash developer to graphic designer to I think it was maybe associate art director to art director, and then finally creative director is what I've been for the past 10 years.
Wow, that's a really extensive history you got there. I haven't
Didn't
even
know what you were
heard of
getting into, did you?
macro. I haven't even heard of Macromedia until you told me about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the Adobe
That's
era.
what everybody was using at the time. Adobe was around, but it was like, I think it was probably Adobe 3, but Macromedia was what we were all using. That's what we were using in college.
Is it a Microsoft product or is it something completely
No,
different?
it was just its own company. It eventually was bought by Adobe, and everything that Macromedia was is now in Adobe products.
That's interesting. Learn something new every day.
Yeah, yeah. That's also how old I am.
Yeah. So, next question. There are some tales that being a creative director is more administrative work than creative work. How true is this to you and why?
Um, it can be. Um, it all depends on, I think, the agency that you work for. Uh, in my experience, I would say it was probably more 50-50. It all depends on how you also approach the job. Uh, if you have a team that you want to get in there and help them do the work, then I don't know an agency that's going to stop you from doing that unless you are that bogged down with administrative work. But a lot of the time, I found that my administrative work was more or less just business meetings and figuring out budgets and stuff like that, compared to actually getting into a program and designing something or creating something. Um, I would say I was creatively used in brainstorming with the team. I was creatively used as far as like helping team members figure out how best to approach something. Or, my experience, I've used all of these applications so much that a lot of tips and tricks and things that a lot of people gravitate to on social media, I know how to do all that stuff. So I was showing team members, oh, it's this shortcut, or no, you actually can do it an easier way if you go this route to do it. Um, I seem to always help them with a lot of web work too, just from having years and years of knowledge of how to do that. But I would say for me, it was a 50-50 thing. So I don't know if that's a good answer or not. But
This kind
again, I
of,
think it all.
yeah, expanding on that, would you rather be in the driver's seat of design or are you okay with being the boss?
For me, if you had asked me 10 years ago, do you ever want to stop designing? I would have said, heck no. That is what I'm good at. That's what I can. That's my strength. That's where my bread and butter comes from. But I would say about years 7 of being the creative director is really when I started to like get it. Um, Not so much about being the boss, but about caring about the other creatives, caring about the team members, hearing their stories, hearing their passions, and wanting to help grow them professionally and creatively. Um, that became my new life's passion, more or less. I love watching someone build the confidence and be able to present a logo or be able to present a website and know that they've done the best job that they could, and the client signs off on it and everyone's happy, and I get to watch all that and know that I helped cultivate that and help grow that. um, that's where the magic happens for me now.
That's an interesting perspective because thinking about it, I think a lot of designers are really attached to their role.
Hmm.
Like they want to like do the work and to be like someone that just oversees anything can be a little like disheartening. Like to
Yeah,
me, that's how I think of it.
yeah.
So are you like kind of a thinking in the way that you are kind of a mentor to your team when you get on
Yeah,
a project?
yeah. Um I would say that I tend to approach things as, you know a client comes in with whatever project it might be, I immediately have ideas of how I would do it. But if a creative director always steers things in the way that they want to do it, it all ends up being the creative director's ideas, and the team never gets to evolve or gets to grow or gets to do anything that they want to do. So, in my opinion, a good creative director allows the team that's been hired to do the work to do the work. I'm there to help grow them, to help guide them, and to help, I guess, more or less mentor them along the way so that the job gets done in the most effective way, but also in the most creative and best way possible. Like if I see a if I see an opportunity to inject my creativity or inject an idea or something like that, I'm going to do that because I've earned the right to do that as the creative director. But at the same time, I'm not here to squash or squander what other people are doing and kind of step on them as they go.
Really good answers. I really like where this conversation is going because I'm kind of in the graphic designer pot, and I've always wanted to reach out to creative directors and know what their experiences are like
Yeah,
because I know it's a whole senior level role
yeah,
that I can
um,
ask questions about.
yeah. Anytime. It's one of those things where I feel like in my career, um, I've had some interesting bosses, and I said to myself pretty early on that if I ever get a team, if I ever lead people, if I ever manage people, I'm gonna do it a different way. And I've kind of held on to that, and it's been great seeing people leave comments on my LinkedIn and everything because, those are past employees and stuff, past people that I've worked with, and it shows, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, so I am doing a good job. People actually do take into account all the effort that I've been trying to do.
Yeah. Okay. So, how important should branding be to a freelance designer and why?
If you like, I go back to it depends on the kind of designer that you want to be, the kind of work that you want to do. Um, but at the end of the day, if you don't understand branding, then I'm not quite sure how you're going to make it as a designer. Because if you get a brand guide and don't understand what the brand guide's for and what it's there and what it's intended to do, then how are you going to work with that client? So, say a client comes to you and needs a brand campaign of sorts, and the brand's already developed. You just need to make a campaign to help sell either a service or something that's happening. Maybe it's an event that's coming up. You need to understand how a brand works in order to make any deliverable that you're going to give to a client. It could be a flyer, it could be a presentation, it could be a slide deck, it could be all these different mediums or deliverables. But if you don't know how to take their brand, the stuff that they've worked on for years and years and years, how are you gonna how are you gonna do that if you don't understand what that is? At the same point, if someone comes to you and says, "I need a brand," can you tell them what that is? If you're a designer, like I, I would say as a freelance designer, you're gonna have to know brand pretty in and out, like all of it.
Yeah, because I think that sometimes in second secondary education, like with me, it's just the design aspect, and it's kind of like a broad thing. I don't know if
Yeah,
kind of experienced that, but I wasn't taught the importance of branding. So I was just
yeah.
like,
And I wouldn't say that I was taught branding either. It was more of a learned experience for me because in school, and especially throughout my college career, it was uh, design this project, design this thing, brand and developing even like what is a brand voice, what is brand messaging, what is, all that stuff. I mean, beyond the logo, like that, that was not a thing that was taught at all. It was something that I quickly learned that I didn't know anything about my first job. It was something that I was like asking questions about and learning from more experienced designers very quickly because I felt like I was missing something. I was like, so wait, what's this brand architecture here? Like, what is all this stuff for this client? And my art director at the time, she was kind of like, you don't know this is what all this is. I was like, oh crap, I am that low level designer.
Yeah, I can feel that way. When I was in school, the projects were just like, okay, design a cereal box. Okay, design
Yep,
an airline logo. Design a cruise line logo. That was the kind of work I was getting. It's not
absolutely.
really a design X to appeal to this kind of audience.
Yep. Yep. That's all it ever felt like at school. And especially because, we got into, like I was saying, we got into like the web stuff and everything. Brand flew out the window with web stuff. It was like, how do you build a website? And didn't worry anything about the aesthetics part of it or how it would match a brand or anything.
Exactly. Exactly. I got into designing websites on my own
Hmm.
without that kind of framework of, well, these kind of color palettes appeal to this, and you know,
Yep.
what makes a good website? Should your website have accessibility? All these things I kind of just piece together outside of school.
Yeah. It's so crazy. It was, and what's interesting to me is like, so when I 2 summers ago, I hired 3 different interns, and one of them was a designer, and she was a senior at the local university here, and the stuff she knew was crazy to me because you know, it was stuff that maybe I had learned by year 7, year 8. Like she was already like way ahead of me as far as in my career where she was at and stuff. It was amazing, like the stuff that is taught now compared to when I was in the university.
As an intern,
Yeah, as an intern.
wow, that's a firecracker.
Yeah, it was amazing to me how much she knew and the stuff that she was coming up with too. I was like, oh wow, you're gonna go far real quick.
That's interesting to know.
And
So,
I mean,
how
but
that's changed.
that's also thanks to the internet. When I was in college, YouTube didn't exist. Um, we weren't using Google to search for anything. It was, I think, Excite is what we were using at the time, maybe Lycos or something like that, Netscape. Um, it's a different era. Like people are able to go and learn how to do stuff now because people are amazing. People are putting out like James and everybody else, CJ, all those guys, like they're all creating content for free to help out the design community, the designers. I would have killed for that at any point of my career. It's fascinating to me to see all the stuff that is at everyone's fingertips now.
I agree. It's so much more prevalent now to look up something on the web, like like a color palette. What can I use as a color palette for my next project? Boom, there it is.
Yeah, yeah, no, I didn't have any of that. I had to come up with, and I think that that's what's actually kind of giving me an edge. Like again, I go back to the stuff that I see on social media. Like I know how to do all that, but it's like it hasn't dawned on me until recently that many of the designers coming out don't know how to do those things. And so there's the whole reason why this exists on social media and everything is because they're eating it up. They love that. And I feel like, oh, I've got kind of an edge there, I guess, because I'm not learning anything new except for maybe tricks that people are figuring out. Um, but like the color palettes and stuff like that. I didn't have the web to do that. So I've had to do that from scratch from the get-go and just learn how to do those things inherently, I guess. I don't know. I'm just not doesn't make me a better designer. It just maybe makes me faster, I guess, or more effective in a timely manner. I don't know. It's just an interesting way to look at it, I guess.
Yeah. So, how do you overcome creative blocks in a project?
My favorite thing to do is to get out of wherever you are. Uh, what I would always tell the team if they were having a creative block or whatever, I would say, all right, take 20 minutes, 30 minutes, go take a walk. Go walk around the city, go take a drive somewhere, put your windows down. I feel like not enough people actually take advantage of nature and what it can do for you, what it can do for your soul, just being outside and just taking a break.
Yeah,
And
it really helps you think.
that seems to do me a world of good. I could see something in the clouds and just get an idea or something like that. Or I tend to always carry a sketchbook, always. I have an absurdly large basket
Oh, a
of
whole
field,
collection.
field notes and things that I've collected that I refuse to throw away. Um,
That's cool.
so yeah, and the iPad Pro and like I always take something with me when I go outside because for me, you never know when that spark will hit, I guess. And I hate if I don't have something to either jot it down real quick or sketch it out. So I always have something with me at all times.
Awesome. So we're nearing the end because I don't want to take up too much of your time and for in the 5 minute stroke. So,
Yeah.
what are your words of wisdom you would give to an aspiring designer?
Um, I think it would change every 5 years, honestly. Um, I would stress that you need to be paying attention to all the different stuff that you can learn. It astounds me. Again, I'm just baffled by it, how much is out there and how quickly you can learn how to do something. I would also say trust your gut. Um, a lot of the time, that first good idea is probably your best idea. You'll sketch out 5 million other ideas, but that first one tends to always be the one that you kind of resonate with or continually go back to. So trust your gut. You know what's best. And there's always going to be trends. Try to buck the trend. Try to, I mean, if you're a designer, you're a creative person, there's always going to be trends. Every year, someone puts out some blog about the top 10 trends in design this year, blah, blah, blah. Well, don't do it. Look at that and do something else. Be creative. Be your own creative. Try to push the boundaries of what's the expectation and don't be afraid to live a little. Like one of the things that I loved as my design career, especially with everything, is I would never look at a budget. I would always just come in and hit the floor running, and I'd go, okay, I want to do this, 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 and this, and then I would wait for the person in charge, whether it be the project manager or the client or the creative director at the time or whatever, for them to draw me back and say, okay, that's great. I love this idea and this idea. We can't do the rest because we don't have the budget for it. Okay, fine. Let's do those two ideas. But never never let someone else stifle your creativity. Always push for the most that you want to do and then let it whittle back from there.
That was a mic drop. I love that. So, how can people connect with you online as we close out this session?
The easiest ways they can connect with me is just going to creativebylucas.com or all my social handles. So Twitter/X, whatever. Created by Lucas. Instagram's probably the one I'm most on, so that's Created by Lucas. But yeah, that's, I mean, LinkedIn, if you want to talk to me on LinkedIn, the summit, I have so many people that reached out on that, which is fantastic. That's all I wanted from that. So I I, I really, really love LinkedIn for that.
Great. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed our conversation. It was really eye-opening to me.
Oh,
Oh,
you're
very
quite
serious.
welcome. I should thank you. I just love talking about anything to do with this career. So if you ever need a follow-up conversation, just let me know.
Great. Thank you. And have a nice day.